just I wish I could have. My father learned Sanskrit when he was younger. I didn't. I don't know if many of you have knowledge of Sanskrit. So I had to rely on English commentaries on the Rig Veda. And that's where I derived all the axioms of warfare. Look at them. They're hair-raising. Hair-raising. There are descriptions in the Rig Veda of the Brahma Astra which are not Advani's rhetoric. Look at what it says. And I have typified them as fire and forget missiles and so on, to get them into the modern idiom. But that's exactly what were conceptualized. So even if it was merely imagination, assuming we didn't have the physics, imagine you didn't have any of the weaponry. You're all imagining. Imagination, my God, you had the imagination to conceptualize such weapons. Mahasik hard. So this is, we really have to begin to think back at the very hard cultural attributes we have. We don't have to look to anybody else. Mahadhyal politik. Chinese don't teach us anything. Certainly the Christian West can't teach us anything about hard real politik. But somehow we become imprisoned in the rhetoric of a pacifist nation, of an effete nation. And that was, I think, the reason for colonization. And I'll end on this very quick note, that I think the transformation of the Indian society for the worse began to happen around the end of Ashoka's reign, when the Emperor Ashoka, and I always remind my audiences, that he turned Buddhist and non-violent after the worst excesses of the Battle of Kalinga. Look at the historical tracts that describe the Battle of Kalinga. He didn't spare even a woman and a child. Everybody in Kalinga was put to death after the king had surrendered. He massacred them. Millions. So you have a Holocaust now. You're not talking about a few people being killed here and there. So naturally, after I have killed off all my enemies, I also become a Buddhist. I have no problem at all in turning Buddhist and saying no, sending out edicts of pacifism to Greece and all these other places. What happened? Buddhism at that point in time, because the essential hard politic of the Rig Veda animated even local kings to think of themselves of becoming a Chakravarti, emperor of all Israel. So every minor king wanted to be Chakravarti. Every minor king wanted to conspire with everybody else as the Arthashastra and the codified laws of Rig Veda said you should do. We were doing it. So all India then got mired in squabbles, unending, interminable. So by the time Buddhism came and Jainism later, people had enough of fighting, of sheer fatigue. The countryside, every king jumping on everybody else, fighting, killing, beating, people sick and tired. And when Buddhism started gaining root out of sheer fatigue of war, of unrest and turmoil and violence, what did Adi Shankaracharya do? He nicely, in a convenient way, co-opted the Buddhist principles of non-violence into Hinduism. Nice. Vegetarianism and the rest of it that went with it. That's not Hinduism. These are Buddhist concepts. Of ahimsa is not a Hindu concept. It's a Buddhist concept. First of all, he burned down Nalanda, didn't he? Nalanda University, the great center of Buddhist teaching, became Buddhist teaching. Kicked out all the Buddhists, ran head schedule China and everywhere else. Merged all the Buddhist notions of ahimsa into Hinduism because he saw that that's what people were hankering for, peace, for a while. That became mainstream Hinduism, but not Hinduism at all. And we lost our vigor as a country. I have nothing against Islam coming in, but that was the ingress of Islam. 6th century, what, by 6 something, the first Bin Qasim coming in? 712, so 8th century. We had lost it. You know, the British colonies, it's easier for them. All I'm trying to say is, there's so much there for us to be rooted in. So much by way of hard realpolitik for our strategic mindsets and our policies to be animated by, that it's a pity that we're unable to think straight or think strategic. And I'm not sure that despite all our growing wealth and burgeoning options, we will do the right thing ultimately. Because we always have gotten into a habit of mind of taking the easy way out, the easy option. As I said yesterday, we are habitual free riders on security. If someone else wants to do here, America ke bandwagon pe chad jao. They'll protect us against China. They're not going to protect you against anybody. वो अपना उल्लू सीधा करने जा रहे हैं. आपका उल्लू सीधा थोड़ी ना करेंगे. I mean, what makes you think America or anybody else is going to get, you know, into line of fire to save you? And yet this is the thinking that animates many people in Delhi, in positions of power. It's very frustrating sometimes. I'll end on the bleak note, but...
So, thank you very much. What I want to do is open up the round for any questions you have, so we can just go around and make it a free call for the next few minutes.
One quick comment on just on Rigveda. I do read Durga Sapsati, which is as old as Rigveda, and in that the comment comes that when Mahishasura comes, there are an army of 1 crore, Bidal comes with an army of 5 Arab, which is 500 crores. We are not talking 1, 2, and Durga Devi kills all of them. We are, so for your sake or for them, or whatever, for your own country good, doesn't matter. I mean, if we have to kill 500 crores or 5 crore or 20 crore, we shouldn't shy away from it. If, again, that goes back to the China comment, when the balloon goes up, it shouldn't be us getting killed. And this has been our culture. It is not something new. It is in the book, one of the most revered books.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that, if you recall, why the Americans and everybody else suddenly became very respectful of Maoist China, is when he said, when the Chinese didn't have any of these weapons or anything else, is when he said, we don't mind losing 300 million Chinese, because 300 million will survive. As late as 1996, when the Belgrade embassy was bombed, when 1996 was it? 1997? 1997, yeah, around that. Whenever, and when the Belgrade embassy was incidentally, purposely bombed, not a stray missile, because the Americans, the Chinese were decoding the 117 frequencies and all kinds of stuff. So they just bombed the damn out of it. The Chinese general, the deputy chief of general staff, PLA, said that they're ready for a war. America backed up. There are two things. It's what the Chinese do. I admire them hugely. At their invitation, I spent 6 weeks last year. They invited me to the Shanghai Institute of International Studies. And for the 6 weeks I was there, my audiences were from the 2nd Artillery, that's the Nuclear Corps, the NDU, and the General Staff, and the Zhongnanhai, their Foreign Office people. You know why they had got me there? Just to hear me talk exactly as I'm talking about the Chinese. And their point always invariably is, will your government really do what you are saying? That's the hump. You can say what you want. Yeah? And they've gotten it exactly right. I mean, the skepticism was not that we can't do it, but whether we'll have the will to do it. And I used to say to them, it depends on the government of the day. If you have this government, maybe not. But you can't bet on this sort of a government being there forever in Delhi. If that's your war planning predicate, then, you know, you are taking the risk, not us.
I have a question. Just on as far as conventional postures you described, you're just sort of playing devil's advocate there. You mentioned consolidating strike forces on the Pakistan border and into a single strike force, and then evolving new strike corps on the Chinese border with an offensive capability. Now, the two things I was wondering was, one is, what happens if the dike is breached from the Pakistan side? They are the buffer, but what happens if the dike is breached, and we need something there to hold up, and as last resort? And the other is, what are these offensive formations on the Chinese side? Are they going to dash to Lhasa? What are we envisioning as a role for that?
Okay. No. Let's just take the second thing first. I think I've advocated that's now becoming the Chinese. Let me just say that the Indian Army now are working on those along those lines. So just roughly, I'm just giving you an idea. The Sikkim plains, the Karan plains of Sikkim, are virtually run into the Tibetan plateau. The Denchok Triangle up there, in the 14 core area, these are perfect for debouchement on